So, for 29 years, 28 years, 29 years, my life sucked for one simple reason. I thought everyone's behavior was a reflection of me, right? Like if someone disrespected me, or if someone pulled away, or if someone acted weird, I didn't think that's about them, right? I thought that must mean something about me, right? My default wiring was this: if you do something to me, it's because of who I am. There must be a flaw in me, right? Like you don't do this to other people. You do this to people like me. Weak, not enough, replaceable, whatever story I wanted to run. That was the operating system, and it really feels quite logical when, when you're inside it, because it's almost like your brain wants causality, right? It wants a reason, so it makes you the reason. At least that's the way I feel like I was conditioned and brought up, right? And when you live like that, you don't you don't set boundaries. That's not a thing to you at all. That word is almost like offensive actually, because if someone disrespects you, it's not that they crossed a line, it's I deserve this, right? That's a huge difference. So instead of saying like I'm not going to accept that behavior, I was saying how do I change me so they don't do that again? And that's a lot to say. That like really hit me. That's a completely different life. And I lived that life for almost my whole life up to this point, pretty much 29, 30 years, pretty much. And that's where anxious attachment comes from. That's where over accommodation that comes from. That's where self erasure, am I saying that? Self erasure comes from? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. And I lived there for pretty much 3 decades. And recently, something shifted, and it's still new. It's still yeah, it feels very unfamiliar. But now when someone does something, my first thought is, "Oh, that might not be because of me. That might be their behavior. That might have nothing to do with me." Right? Not that's my identity, that's because of me, right? And that distinction really is everything. And that distinction has really brought me a lot of peace, and it is starting to make me feel like I no longer live in hell, and makes me feel like I live in heaven. And it doesn't mean I never self reflect. I'm an extremely self reflective person, right? It doesn't mean I never take responsibility. I am an extremely responsible person. Um, I'm just learning to stop automatically assuming the guilt and responsibility in the situation. And that is a new life for me, a very, very new life for me. And here's the honest part. It is still extremely, extremely difficult to draw that line, but there's progress being made because before I didn't even know that line existed, right? Because sometimes it is me. Sometimes I communicated poorly. Sometimes I didn't show up, you know, I showed up wrong, right? But here's the difference. It's now becoming an evaluation, whereas before it was a verdict, right? Before it is my fault. I am flawed. It is because of me. And now it's like, is there something for me to adjust here? Or is this just someone acting from their own conditioning? And that space between like stimulus and self blame, like that space is giving me a lot of peace, a lot of freedom, and just a harmony and balance. Um, and this changed my business too, right? Like when a deal falls through now, or when a client acts out, or if someone doesn't renew. Before, it's what's wrong with me? How can I just immediately like go into self-modification mode, right? And I think really that's why I saw a lot of success, because I would modify myself always around their behavior. And now it's like, is there something to improve systematically, or is this just like variance in human behavior? And that shift has really stabilized me. It's removed a lot of emotional chaos, and I can now, like, you know analyze behavior without internalizing it. And to me, it's really brought me a lot of peace. And just fucking talking about it and realizing it and saying it out loud is like, I used to carry so much weight. And I think that's why I was, as suicidal as I was, is because it was just like everything, all the things were my fault, were my responsibility. And that's just a lot of pressure. That's a lot of anxiety, to operate from starting as a very young child to, an adult. And even in relationships, this has changed everything, because I'm noticing this with women now, because like if and not even women, like also like, male friendships, like if someone shows inconsistency, if someone disrespects a boundary, like I didn't even have boundaries, like boundaries, what the fuck is that? Like that's a word? What the fuck does that even mean? If someone withdraws, I don't spiral again into self-modification. I ask, do I tolerate this? Am I willing to tolerate this? Have I been feeling a type of way and not been saying anything? Is this an opportunity for me to healthily communicate, what I've been feeling, right? And now the time between, before it was like this feeling and there would be no communication. I would just be like, oh, this is because of me. I need to change. Now it's like there's this feeling and now there's actually a point when I communicate it. Whereas before there was never that. And now the progress is going to be the time between me communicating, or excuse me, the time between me feeling it and then the time between me communicating it, and that shortening, right? So that question alone is really, changed my life. Do I tolerate this? Because when you stop trying to earn better treatment, you start requiring it. And that's something I noticed with the two relationships that I have with females most recently is like, I'm not going to tolerate this. And it sucks, but it's just like, just calling that out and being like, hey, I'm not going to accept this moving forward. And then saying something to them about it and then letting them decide. And that's been the most freeing and liberating thing is like, I'm not responsible for you providing me the experience that I want. I am responsible for communicating the experience I want. And that has been the hardest and trickiest thing to let go of is wanting someone so much and wanting something so much, but understanding and giving them the option to step up. And it's been the scariest thing, but it's also been the most liberating thing at the same time because now it's like, hey, we have shared equity in this choice now, right? I'm going to do my part and communicate what I want, and then I'm going to leave your part up to you, which is, do you want to fulfill that, yes or no? And in realizing that, even if the answer is no, that has nothing to do with me. That doesn't mean I'm less worthy, right? It's like, hey, and this is in business and in relationships and in life. It's just like, hey, this isn't going to work out because that's not what I want. Because I'm sure, like, there will be something when a girl will want something, and I'll be like, hey, I don't want that. And that's not because I don't value you, right? But that's because I am really focused on me and I'm really valuing myself, right? And it's not like, oh, if there's this different girl, I'm going to do it for her over you, maybe for some things, but not like, not from the fundamental perspective that it's because you're not worthy, right? But it's because we're not aligned, right? And that has nothing to do with your worth or my worth. So, but I just realized something that like, and I've communicated this already, but like others people's behavior is a reflection of their nervous system and their conditioning and their beliefs and their capacity, which all of that drives their capacity. And it's not automatically a reflection of my worth. And that doesn't make me arrogant. That just makes me a lot more stable. And stability is attractive in business and in friendships and in relationships. And it's amazing to come to this point because I'm telling you, I'm literally, quite literally in real time transitioning from hell to heaven. And you guys are getting to witness it through this video and through all the videos that I'm making. I'm quite literally documenting my transition from hell to heaven. Because for 29, 30 years, you know, I thought everything people did to me was about me. And now I'm learning something new. Now I'm learning that sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. But it's not automatically a character flaw. And that shift alone has changed my relationships, my business. And honestly, most importantly, this is the most important thing for me moving forward is my peace. I don't have to internalize everything to grow. Sometimes growth is realizing it wasn't about me in the first place. Because I always thought like, man, Like if I just internalize it, I'll grow. But no, like that's the one-way street of growth, and growth is two ways. It's realizing when something is about me and now realizing when something isn't about me.